like morning. Let mercy breathe into. And for every tear we cannot explain, for every why that won't let go, be near the one still asking, be the only peace they know. By inches and grace, by inches and grace, we still hold on, we still lift your name. It's by inches and grace, by inches and grace, love keeps singing through the ache and pain. By inches and grace, by inches and grace, we say their names, and we won't let go.
Good morning, everybody. I'm gonna- There she is.
I'm back.
Okay, so we have a
Back.
little bit of a change of plans because, you know, shit happens on the fly sometimes.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
Now that's
couple things
okay. What you
to
got? Okay.
a couple things to go over. I'm gonna pause that. So
Yeah.
today we'll be covering the Kouri Richardson sentencing rather than doing testimony. Aiden's hearing has been postponed because there was a family emergency for one of his attorneys. Good thoughts and love go
All my-
out to whichever one it is.
All my positive thoughts and energies.
Another thing of breaking news, Alec Murdaugh, his murder conviction has been overturned. However, he will stay in jail because he is also serving time for financial crimes, so he will not be getting out.
He will, and it's going to a retrial, right? He's going to be retried for the murder. Okay. Yeah. So a new
More
trial
than
for
likely.
Alec. New trial for
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye out for that. For a new trial for
Yeah.
Alec Murdaugh.
And I didn't even watch that trial, so I know of the story, but
I didn't. I grew up in that neck of the woods. I'm good.
yeah, you have a connection to the Murdaughs, huh? You were
Mhm.
saying.
Mhm. Yeah. Small town.
Yeah.
So.
So a little bit of housekeeping. Oh, and I'm debuting a new song today too.
Yes.
So we will be running a little bit behind in the Kouri Richardson sentencing, but what else is new? This is what we do on this channel. We run the behind.
Yeah.
So let's do the housekeeping, and then we'll do the song, and then we'll get into Kouri Richardson's, which I didn't barely watch that trial either, to be honest with you. Again, I know the story. I know of the story, but I am not a proficient in that case whatsoever.
Right. Me either.
So housekeeping. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to both my channel and Maylin's channel. You can follow me on X at Angie and 1984 YT. You can follow me on Facebook, Angie Mead. Cash App is Angie of 1984 YT. Venmo at NGM 1984. Buy me coffee at NGM 1984. Maylin has put the wish list in the chats for stuff to keep the kids busy, because sometimes I am here by myself and the kids are crazy. As Danny and everybody like to tease me about when I'm on Spaces and all you can hear in the background is my kids. Go ahead.
Discord.
Oh, Discord, yes. If you would like to join the Discord or you have any cases that you would like us to cover, email me at angiem1984yt@gmail.com. Okay, now it's your turn.
Again, everybody, thank you for coming today. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm at 118 subscribers. My goal for this week is 120. So would love to be able to get there. And Angie was at 270. Angie's at 272. So we're working on getting her up to 300 subscribers. Donations are always appreciated, never required. But if you would like to support my channel, my Cash App is TC Maylin. If you need to contact me or like, because I cover current cases, sorry.
Sounds like Denim in the background.
Yeah, I live in the middle of a city and there's a fire and rescue right down the street, and we have 4 nursing homes right down just past us. So we get a lot of the rescue coming from the fire department to go for fall assist over there. But on Mondays, I cover current cases. On Wednesdays, I talk about public enemy number 1, gangsters. And on Fridays, I talk about serial killers at 10:30. So if you have a case idea or story you would like to hear about, please email me at tcwmaylin@gmail.com or DM me on X at tcwmaylin. Or if you're in Discord and you happen to be in any of the rooms I'm in, you're more than welcome to Discord. Send me a DM on Discord. I do not have my own Discord channel right now. We'll just see where the party takes us. So thank you again, everybody, for coming today. We very much appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who's here.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of Danny, nice segue there. The kittens are finally all asleep. Thank the Lord. Like, side note. Last night, so we've had the kittens in a playpen at night. Like, that's their night time where they go to sleep and everything. Well, Mr. Gizmo and Miss Callie decided they did not want to stay in the playpen last night. So we were like, okay, fine. They're getting big enough. They're about to go home this week that they can have the run of the house. Yeah, I barely got any sleep. Ladybug was up all night, keeping an eye on them. Poor baby. She's passed out. They're finally passed out. But, yeah. So anyway, that's, I did a song, AI song for Danny and Toy, because as we have said before, we are very thankful for Danny because he has, like, Malin was planning on doing a channel. I was not. I will be honest. I had no ambitions to be a YouTuber. And, but watching Danny and hearing about how he had anxiety because he didn't like being on camera, which is why I'm never on camera. Like, I'm rarely on camera unless I'm showing the babies off, So, I made this song, and it's called Thank You, Danny and Toy, the Chat Rats Anthem. And yeah, So let's play this and then we will get into Kouri Richardson.
Late night in the chat room, we roll in one by one. Same little corner of the web, same joke, same fun. Danny got the first spark, he told us go ahead. Now half of us got channels from the words he said.
He saw the little voice behind the screen glow, gave us all a push when we were moving slow. Toy on the beat, she keeps the fire tight. Every click, every clap turns the room alive.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Danny. You turned us on and set us free. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Danny. Now the whole chat rats got a dream to feed.
One upload, then another, hand shaking on the mic. 1,000 tiny moments timed into a life.
Some of us found our rhythm, some found a way to speak. You made a little family out of code and screens.
You saw the little voice behind the screen glow, gave us all a push when we were moving slow. Toy on the beat, she keeps the fire tight. Every click, every clap turns the room alive.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Danny. You turned us on and set us free. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Danny. Now the whole chat rats got a dream to feed. From the scroll to the spotlight, from the joke to the show, we were just a crowd then, now we're letting it go. Danny in the center, toy with that beatbox smile. You changed a bunch of strangers into creators for a while. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Danny. You turned us on and set us free. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Danny. Now the whole chat rats got a dream to feed. Chat rats, we remember your name. Danny and Toy, you lit the flame. Chat rats, we're out here today. Thank you, Danny, for showing the way.
Very cute. I love it. Good job on that one. You're muted.
Sorry, my bad.
It's
But
your
anyway,
turn.
as I was saying, thank you, Danny and Toy, for, inspiring a whole
A lot of
new,
people.
yeah. But so,
Without further
ironically,
ado,
East Idaho News is covering Kouri Richardson today.
yes.
You,
nice.
Siegel, if you go into the Discord and go into Toys Boutique and ask for a rat suit, you can get a rat suit. They take a minute, but you can get them. Just go into Danny's Discord.
Yep. And what you do is you just give her a few, details about yourself, your eye color, your hair color, any hobbies or anything interesting. She'll do it. So like with mine, I told her, I'm redhead. I've got blue eyes, and I love purple, and I love Mickey Mouse. And that's what she couldn't come up with a better one for me. I love it.
She even included my cat on mine.
Am I blue?
No.
No, I'm not blue.
No.
Okay, that's weird. On my side, it's just a blue dot.
That's weird. That is weird.
Yeah,
Is it
I don't know.
highlighted? You were blue on my screen for a minute, but it was because my mic fell over and the mouse got clicked.
Oh, there you go. Ha! Yes, I was highlighted. There you go. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on
Okay.
this without further ado. Roll tape.
I don't know if they're sound yet, but there we go.
00139, State of Utah versus Kouri Richardson. Can I have counsel for the state make their appearance?
Good morning, Your Honor. Brad Bloodworth, Lindsay Sherbanak, and Margaret Olson for the state.
Thank you. And for the defense?
Wendy Lewis, Catherine Nestor, and Alex Ramos for the defendant who is present.
Very good. This is the time set for sentencing. The court plans to proceed as follows. First, I need to address 3 administrative matters. The setting of a restitution hearing, which the court proposes would include discussion of the state's request for recoupment of defense costs at that time. The state's request for a continuous protective order and any alleged inaccuracies in the pre-sentence investigation report. Second, I'd like to hear from counsel for the state and from those who wish to present a victim impact statement. Third, I'd like to hear from defense counsel and those that defendant desires to present information regarding the appropriate sentence. And finally, the court will give Ms. Richardson an opportunity to speak if she so chooses. Any objections, Mr. Bloodworth?
No, Your Honor, I have one other housekeeping matter, if I may.
Please.
Your Honor, the defendant previously waived jury as it relates to the domestic violence finding. I cannot recall, or find in the record, whether or not the court has actually made that finding, and the state would ask the court to do that today.
I can't recall whether there was a stipulation about their status as cohabitants made on the record during trial.
That's the issue.
Right.
Your Honor. And I think that
It doesn't impact the decisions today. It just impacts the record for any future offense that might be committed by this person.
that is
Right.
well, Your Honor, one thing, it will affect the analysis as it relates to a continuous protection.
Well, understood. No, I understand your position. Yeah.
Your Honor, I do believe we put that on the record during the jury instruction conference.
Okay.
We discussed specifically the cohabitant issue, and you got us to make a statement on the record.
Okay. Very good. So I think there's a stipulation among counsel that the record includes a stipulation of fact recorded for the record that Eric Richardson and Kouri Richardson were cohabitants under Utah law at all relevant times. Anything further, Mr. Bloodworth?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Nestor, Ms. Lewis, any objection to how the court intends to proceed? Okay. Fair warning to everyone inside the courtroom. As with the time when the verdict was read, everybody in the courtroom deserves our respect while they are in the courtroom. So there can be no outward reactions to what's said today. This is an emotionally charged situation, reasonably so, but the bottom line is no outward reactions. If you feel overcome with emotion, please look down, keep your hands folded in your lap. Moreover, to those that might be coming to the podium to make statements today, please make sure you're addressing me, the court, not other people in the courtroom. You're of course allowed to reference other people in the courtroom, but speak to me. setting a restitution. What makes sense from the state's perspective?
Your Honor, the restitution amounts that the state is seeking are well-known in the record, or the defendant are well-known in the record. So we can proceed in very short order. I don't know if there's going to be much dispute on the amounts.
Okay. From the defense team, what makes sense in this question?
We need an opportunity to brief these issues and do a little bit of research. We were surprised by some of the requests that came
The
from us.
recoupment issues?
Yes,
Fair enough.
so we need to look into that. I know that I'm gonna be out of town the first 2 weeks of June. I'm gonna be out of the country, so if we could do it before or after, that would be helpful.
After would work far better for me.
Okay, same. So, other than that,
Ricky, what would you recommend? Is there an afternoon on which we don't have a ton of stuff set? On a Friday afternoon? Could we do it on the 10th? One moment, council. Ms. Nestor, the afternoon of July 10th.
Ms. Lewis will be out of town, and that is the week we are doing the preliminary hearing in my case in Utah County.
Understood. Well, maybe July 31, he said.
July 31 works.
That worked for the state.
What time, Your Honor?
That'll work, Your Honor.
All right. We'll say 1:30 p.m. on July 31. Ms. Nestor, would you like to appear in person or by web extension?
In person, Your Honor.
All right. We'll set a restitution hearing to include discussion of the state's arguments regarding recoupment as made in their sentencing memorandum on July 31, 1:30 p.m. in person. Okay, anything further on that, Mr. Blood?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Nestor?
No, sir.
All right. Mr. Bloodworth, the state's request for a continuous protective order. I looked hard at this. Let me relate some of my concerns and have you respond to them, and then we can go from there. I looked at this, cases cited by the state, I looked at the statute, considered the absurdity doctrine. It seems to me that the legislature has adopted a policy where a convicted person's First Amendment rights are reasonably restricted in domestic violence cases to prevent the survivor of domestic violence from being re-victimized by contact, either direct or indirect, by the convicted perpetrator. And it seems that the legislature has recognized that a survivor of domestic violence can be re-victimized by the perpetrator contacting their family members or other household members. The statute contemplates that. But here, or in a situation like this, where the Domestic Violence Act does not have a survivor, rather it has a decedent, it seems from the face of the statute and other statutes involving criminal actions causing death that the legislature has reverted to the First Amendment being the baseline, and also that there are other remedies available to the family members of that decedent, such as stalking injunctions, if they are receiving contact that constitutes a course of conduct that would cause an objectively reasonable person to suffer emotional distress. Moreover, the juvenile court has tremendous authority to determine whether and how much, if any, contact a parent in this situation should have with the children of the decedent. I'm not sure that I have the authority to enter a continuous protective order in this case. I acknowledge this may not be what the legislature intended, that maybe they didn't see around this corner when passing the statute, and I appreciate the state's position that maybe they should take a hard look at it, but the act says what it says today. Respond to that for me.
Your Honor, the state questions the court's kind of read of the act, and when the court relates members of the victims, any harm to members of the victim's family related back to the harm to the victim, causing the victim harm. I think the plain read of the statute is, and it's 78 Bravo -7-8043D5.
Necessary to fully protect the victim and members of the victim's family.
Correct. The plain read of that sentence, Your Honor, does not say that the protection for the members of the victim's family does not, it does not relate back. It is a separate clause. It does not relate back to protection of the victim. And I think within the scheme of the statute, the legislature envisions protection for the victim, separately protection for the victim's family as an option of this court. And I think that's kind of consistent. This statute's odd. I think it's subsection B, which has a preamble on legislative intent.
Right.
And I think consistent with that preamble on legislative intent is the legislature's grant of this court, any court, authority to protect the victim's family under the statute as well, because of the unique nature of domestic violent crimes.
An argument the state didn't make, maybe because it just doesn't believe in it, but it seems that a strict reading of the statute would say, I'm required to enter the continuous protective order and set a hearing, and then let defendant make the argument that.
Your Honor, procedurally, I think that's right, because of the threshold inquiry of whether or not the victim, decedent in this case, reasonably apprehends a harm.
Right. Practically, though.
But practically, I don't know that, I mean, it seems to me as the state brief that is evident, that a decedent cannot reasonably apprehend harm.
Okay. Let me hear from the defense counsel for a moment.
Yes.
Your Honor, we agree with the court's original statements. We think this request for a continuous protective order is outside the purview of the statute. It's outside this court's authority. We believe it violates her First Amendment right. If these communications are not threatening, this would basically mean she could never send her sons a birthday card, a Christmas card, any type of communication.
Well, pause there for a minute. Let's take the three boys out of it, because there's a whole separate set of concerns there, given that her parental rights have not been terminated.
Right.
And I don't have authority to do it.
Correct.
Juvenile court does.
Right.
But if we would talk just for the moment about the adult family members of Eric Richardson.
Well,
So it would mean that she could never reach out to them.
right. Well, and that could create problems if they're the guardians of her children and there's an issue if she is given any type of parental input to major life decisions, to medical care, to anything like that she would not be able to communicate would be problematic. She has no intention of communicating with them outside of matters that have to do directly with the children. I also think this, well, you said you're setting the boys aside, so my other arguments, I'll deal with them. But as far as I can see, there's another courtroom where this could happen. There's another venue under which this could happen, and this is not the appropriate place to do it.
All right, Mr. Bloodworth, any additional thoughts regarding the state's request for a continuous protective order?
No, Your Honor.
All right. All right, in full transparency, I don't like the result, but under this court's reading of Utah Code 78B 7804, subsection 3, the court determines as a matter of law that it cannot issue a continuous protective order in this case because it is evident that the victim of the domestic violence charges, in this case for which Ms. Richardson was convicted, cannot possibly have a reasonable fear of future harm or abuse. It very well may be that this is not the result the legislature intended, and I would encourage the legislature to take a hard look at 78B 7804 subsection 3 to fill this gap explicitly. But they haven't done it yet. They know how to do it, and the court is not persuaded that this result is so far outside of what they could have possibly intended, given the overlay of the First Amendment, that the absurdity doctrine requires a different result. And so while the court hopes the legislature will make a legislative change that would provide protections for the members of the family of a decedent in an aggravated murder case like this, they haven't done it yet. The court simply, in my view, does not have the authority to issue a continuous protective order in this case. In so ruling, the court expresses no opinion whatsoever, one way or the other, as to whether Eric Richardson's family members might qualify for issuance of a stalking injunction in the future, and expresses no opinion one way or the other as to whether the juvenile court will put in place restrictions regarding Ms. Richardson's communications with her 3 boys. Anything further on that, Mr. Blower?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Nestor?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Nestor, may I ask you a couple of questions regarding the pre-sentence investigation report?
Yes, sir.
Have you had a chance to review it?
We have, Your Honor.
Have you had a chance to review it with Ms. Richards?
We have, Your Honor.
Okay. Are there any inaccuracies in the PSR that we need to address?
We submit there are inaccuracies. They're all related to the factual recitations, which this court presided over the trial and is very familiar with. We have confidence the court remembers what happened at trial and remembers what was presented, and we would submit.
Okay. For the purpose of today's hearing, to the extent there are any factual inaccuracies in the pre-sentence investigation report regarding the factual background of this case, the court determines that those factual inaccuracies are not relevant to the court's sentencing decision and do not affect the court's decision regarding the appropriate sentence one way or the other. Anything further on that, Ms. Nestor?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Bloodworth, how would you like to proceed?
Your Honor, the state is prepared to present.
Please.
Your Honor, on Valentine's Day 2022, Kouri Darden Richards tried and failed to murder her husband and the father of her 3 young children, Eric Richards. Over the next 17 days, she did not think, what have I done? Rather, she thought, how can I do better? And then she murdered Eric in the presence of their children using poison, and for money.
I just want to say before we get into the victim impact statements, take care of your mental health. One, this is probably going to be very emotional. Also, happy birthday, Eric Richards, and also happy birthday, Sandra Birchmore. We never knew you, but we know that you were missed horribly. So hopefully you are resting in peace. Back to us.
Such a person should never again lurk among the rest of us. Her children should never worry that they may one day encounter her. For these reasons, the reasons set forth in the state's sentencing memorandum, and the boundless reasons the court has learned from presiding over this case, the pending criminal case, and the multiple associated civil cases. The state requests that the court impose a sentence of life in prison without parole on count 1, 5 years to life in prison consecutive to any other sentence on count 2, 1 to 15 years in prison consecutive to any other sentence on counts 3 and 4, and 1 to 5 years in prison consecutive to any other sentence on count 5. Furthermore, the state requests that the court order the defendant to pay restitution to Auto Owners Insurance Company in the amount of $1,017,018 and True Stage Insurance Company in the amount of $352,562. The state requests that the court order the defendant to pay recoupment to Summit County in the amount of $1,391,943. Kouri Darden Richards earned this sentence. Her children deserve it. Only this court can order it. The court's time this morning is best spent hearing from a few of Kouri Darden Richards' victims. Fathers are not meant to bury sons. Gene Richards will present his victim impact statement first. Losing a sibling is losing a piece of yourself. Katie Richards Benson, Clint Benson, and Dr. Amy Richards will then present their victim impact statements. There are no greater victims in this case than Eric's 3 young boys. The defendant took both of their parents from them. Jessica Black, who is Weston's counselor. Christina Greening, who is Ashton's counselor. And Sarah Barber, who is Carter's counselor, will then present the boys' victim impact statements. Your Honor, Gene Richards.
Okay.
Good morning.
What's up?
Yeah, you guys. All right. I guess we're getting ready to get into these impact statements. They are going to be hard. You're very welcome, Hellfish Haven. Thank you for swinging by. These are going to be very, very hard. Parents should never bury their children. Young children should not lose either parent this way. And I know I would be devastated if I lost one of my siblings like this.
Yeah.
So take care of your mental health first. If you can't handle it right now, step away. Okay. Thank you guys. All right, girl tape. Let's get this over.
Sir, good morning. Please take your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Your Honor, my name is Gene Richardson. I'm Eric's father. No parent should ever have to bury their child. It's a loss that changes you forever. Eric was taken from us way too soon. And his loss has left a permanent hole in our family that will never be filled, ever. Eric was first and foremost an incredible father. To his 3 boys, Carter, Ashton, and Wes, his sons were his world, and he was theirs also. They didn't just see him as a dad, they saw him as their best friend, their coach, their mentor, their protector. He was present in every part of their lives. Whether it was soccer, baseball, basketball, or any activity that they were involved in. Eric was there coaching, encouraging, and supporting not only his own boys, but every child on the team. Eric didn't just coach sports, he built confidence. He built character and friendships. He gave his time freely because he cared deeply about helping young people grow into strong, kind, and capable individuals. The impact Eric had on these children and families continues even now. On the soccer team that he coached, before every game, the players gathered and called out a cheer. For many teams, it might be something ordinary. But for Eric's team, even 4 years after his death, they still break the huddle with the words, 1, 2, 3, Eric. That simple cheer speaks volumes about a man he was and the lasting imprint that he left upon young lives in this community. He was a light to his sons, to the boys he coached, and to our entire community. A light that was taken far too soon. Eric was only 39 years old. As his father, I miss him every day. I miss our conversations. I miss watching him grow into a man I was so proud of. One of the greatest joys of my life was seeing the kind of father he had become. Eric was patient, loving, dedicated, and fully present in his boys' lives. Watching him raise his sons with such care and devotion was incredibly meaningful to me. Eric was also an amazing brother to 2 sisters, a loving uncle, nephew, cousin, and loyal friend. He was a trusted business partner, a valued colleague, and a respected member of our community. He was generous with his time, his energy, and kindness. He treated people with respect, showed gratitude even for the smallest acts of kindness, and gave freely of himself because that's simply who he was. He worked hard to provide a beautiful life for his family. He gave them a home many would consider a dream. He ensured their needs were met, supported them, cared for them, and treated his wife with love every day. Yet despite everything he gave, his life was taken from him, not by a stranger, but by a person he should have been able to trust the very most in his life. He was betrayed in the most imaginable way possible. His life was taken through calculated, intentional actions motivated by the greed, control, and desire for a different life with someone else. Eric's boys lost a father. I lost my son. His sisters lost their brother. Our family lost a man who represented the very best of what a person can be. The ripple effects of this loss extend far beyond our immediate family. His friends lost someone they trusted and admired. The children he coached lost a mentor, a role model. Our community lost someone who genuinely cared and gave back without expecting anything in return. Eric will never see his boys graduate, get married, or become fathers themselves. He will never again stand on the sidelines cheering them on. He will never offer guidance, encouragement, or love in any way that only a father can. That opportunity was stolen from him and from all of us. Because of the calculated and intentional nature of this crime, I respectfully ask the court to impose a sentence of life without the possibility of parole. This sentence is important to Eric's 3 sons never have to live with the fear that the person responsible for taking their father could ever harm them again, and to ensure she can never harm anyone else ever again. Despite our immense grief, I want to acknowledge and thank those who have worked tirelessly to bring justice for my son. Eric was always grateful for others, showed kindness and dedication, and I know he would want to express sincere appreciation to those who gave their time, effort, and professionalism to seek the truth in this case. We are deeply thankful to the prosecution team, Margaret, Brad, Lindsay, Fred, Joe, Wendy, Patricia, and the entire staff who supported them for their commitment and their perseverance. We also want to recognize and thank Todd for his dedication and relentless efforts in helping us ensure justice has been served. We are also grateful to Grace Wardis for serving as a spokesperson and an advocate for our family throughout this process. We thank the Summit County Sheriff's Office, Lieutenant Hemingway, Detective O'Driscoll, Detective Hopper, Officer Woody, Officer Gibson, and all the law enforcement personnel who worked on this investigation. We thank the bailiffs who ensured the safety and the order of this courtroom. We thank you, Your Honor, for your patience, professionalism, and stewardship of this process. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to each juror, including the alternates, for their sacrifice and their time, for seriously taking the responsibility, who carried out to ensure justice was served. Nothing can bring Eric back. Nothing can restore what has been taken from his sons, from our family, and from this community. But accountability matters here. Justice matters. Eric mattered. His life, his love mattered, his example mattered. He will always be remembered as a devoted father, a loving son, a supportive brother, a loyal friend, and a man who made lives of those around him better. We miss him every day and will continue to honor his memory by living with the same kindness and dedication that he showed to everyone fortunate to know him. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Katie, good morning.
So as you know, I'm Katie, and I'm Eric's sister. To begin, there are a multitude of people who deserve credit and appreciation. Law enforcement agencies across the state of Utah, the Summit County Prosecutor's Office, the Medical Examiner's Office, expert witnesses who worked hand in hand with law enforcement, Eric's friends, Eric's coworkers, my friends, my family, our entire team of lawyers and experts in the civil lawsuit. There are far too many people to mention by name, and I suspect if I try to, I will inadvertently leave someone out. But to all of you, please know that this would not be possible without your efforts, your support, and the strength of the community that has stood beside us. Both my family and I are forever grateful to each of you. I am also very grateful to you, Your Honor, to this court for the dignified manner in which it presided over the trial, and to the members of the jury for faithfully performing their civic duties. Today is Eric's birthday. I stand before you because he can't. He was taken away from my dad, my sister, his nieces, his friends, our community, and worst of all, from his 3 amazing sons. Sorry. He was taken away from us by a person he should have been able to trust, the person he should have trusted most in the world, his wife. It's impossible to fully describe how devastating Eric's death and Kouri's crimes have been to our family. Nearly every aspect of our lives has been permanently changed, and we have no choice but to live with those changes and with Eric's loss forever. Eric was a phenomenal brother, father, son, nephew, grandson, cousin, friend, and businessman. Eric and I were extremely close. We went through school together and navigated life side by side. Wherever Eric went, I was usually tagging along right behind. In school, Eric's nickname was Richie, and mine was Little Richie, a reflection on how inseparable we were. He wasn't just my brother. He was my constant, my protector, and one of my closest friends. Eric was the kind of father who anticipated his children's needs before they ever had to ask. He made sure they were always having fun, taught them how to be respectful and kind, and was constantly planning for their future. His mind and heart was always on his boys, always. Everything he did was for them. Eric was the very best uncle. He made his nieces, my daughters, feel truly special. He always found ways to have fun with them. He doted on them with love and attention. Eric was an incredible son, always there for my parents, stepping in without hesitation and helping in every way he could, without being asked. The bond he shared with my mom was truly special. We would often joke that the umbilical cord had never really been cut, but in truth, it spoke to the deep, unbreakable love they had for each other. This is who Eric truly was, a man defined by love, integrity, and unwavering devotion to his family. He is none of the things that Kouri tried to portray him as. Those mischaracterizations were nothing more than a vile effort to deflect blame. And those mischaracterizations stand in stark contrast to the reality of the man we all knew and loved. Eric's life and his actions and the profound impact he had on those around him speak for themselves. And they tell a story of goodness, strength, and character that cannot be rewritten or diminished. The saddest part for me in all of this is that I got something with Eric that his sons never did: time. I feel cheated that I only got to spend a few decades with my brother, but I should feel lucky in comparison. As Eric's eldest son told me shortly after his dad's death, he and his brothers did not even get 10 years with their dad. It is devastating that Eric is not here to coach them, to work the family ranch with them, to teach them how to drive, to attend their high school graduation, to send them off to college, to see them get married, or to celebrate the birth of his future grandchildren. His 3 sons are going to grow up and live nearly their entire lives without their dad. They're going to get to know their dad more from the stories we tell about them than their actual experiences. In all likelihood, by the time they are age 44 years old, which is how old Eric would be today, they will have little to no actual memories of Eric. And they have to go through life without their dad because their mother planned and carried out his murder. She could not have done anything more selfish or more cruel to those boys. In the place of a stable, secure, and loving home, Kouri gave the boys permanent trauma. They were in the house the night she killed their father. They were awake. They knew that something terrible had happened to their dad. As we heard on the 911 call during trial, one of them even walked into Eric's bedroom where Eric's body lay dead, poisoned by someone who his son should have been able to unconditionally trust, love, and depend on. No child should have to bear that trauma. But Eric's 3 innocent sons will bear that burden, and they will bear it for the rest of their lives. Kouri's selfishness and cruelty did not end with Eric's murder. In the time after Eric's death, Kouri has done nothing but isolate, manipulate, deceive, and do harm to those boys. Almost immediately after Eric died, she cut them off completely from our family, from Eric's family. The isolation was calculated and strategic. Kouri used the boys as bargaining chips with my dad. She repeatedly threatened not to let him see his grandsons unless he could convince me, as Eric's trustee of his trust, to capitulate to her legal demands and give her all the trust assets. While isolating the boys, Kouri provided them with false and harmful information about me and my family. When DCFS took custody of the boys following Kouri's arrest and asked where they would like to go, they expressed fear of my family. The fear was not based on reality, but on what they had been told. For over a year, Kouri led them to believe that I hated them, that I was attempting to take Eric's money for myself, and that I intended for them to be left without support, that they would be homeless and starving. These statements were entirely false and had no basis in reality. Had they not been subjected to that influence, they would have known the truth. Prior to Eric's death, our families were very close. My daughters and his sons had strong friendships, and I had a meaningful individual relationship with each of my nephews. I spent time riding horses with one, helping another identify summer boating programs, and the youngest participated in ice skating lessons with my daughters. Our families shared holidays, worked together on our family ranch, took trips together, and I was present the day each of the boys were born in the hospital. The boys have expressed their confusion about these circumstances. They have stated that prior to their father's passing, both Eric and Kouri frequently told them if anything were to happen, they should go with me, that I would care for them and support them. Following Eric's death, however, those messages changed. After Eric passed away, Kouri prevented all contact between our family and the boys. She prohibited communication and continued to provide them false information about us. When we were finally able to see the boys again, approximately 15 months after Eric's death, the boys hardly recognized the relationship we had. Instead, they viewed my family and me with fear and hesitation, as though we were strangers. Kouri also went to great lengths to jeopardize the boys' financial futures. I know you are very aware of this. Among other things, she drained the personal bank accounts that Eric had set up for his boys as college funds. She allowed the boys' Social Security survivor benefits to be funneled to individuals who were not taking care of the boys. And she sued me in my role as Eric's trustee and personal representative, not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. The goal of her lawsuits is singular. She wants all of Eric's assets for herself. Despite her lies and fanciful public portrayal, she knows that none of Eric's assets are going to me, my dad, or my sister. In fact, she knows exactly where Eric wanted everything to go, and that is to his boys. And yet, for 4 years, she has aggressively tried to take their inheritance from them. Even now, despite erroneous debt, a murder conviction, and a string of pending felony financial charges, Kouri's civil lawsuits live on. Those lawsuits have been emotionally grueling, all-consuming, and unimaginably expensive. And tragically, every dollar on those suits is a dollar that Eric's boys will not get. Of course, Kouri can't have other people or the public thinking that she's trying to take away her children's inheritance. So for the past 4 years, both in court and in the media, she has demonized and vilified me. She has hurled wild accusations in my direction, including that I hacked her bank accounts, forged her bank statements, paid off witnesses, unduly pressured law enforcement into investigating her, and quietly pulled the Summit County prosecutor's strings. It is despicable that for doing nothing more than trying to honor Eric's wishes, Kouri has cast me as the evildoer here. Just as bad, honoring Eric's wishes has landed my sister and myself, and unbelievably, my 2 daughters in Kouri's crosshairs. One of Eric's sons recently told me that Kouri used to say, "I will get them one day." Apparently, she was talking about me, my sister, and my daughters. Her infamous walk the dog letter, the part the jury did not hear, confirms her desire to harm me. In it, she talks at length about her plans to get at Amy and me, including by targeting my daughters, both of whom are under the age of 10. It takes a sick mind to target children. The mere thought that someone who has so little regard for human life or decency might one day walk free is horrifying. I worry about the safety of Eric's boys, my daughters, my sister, and myself. There is nothing Kouri will not do, and no one she will not hurt to achieve her own selfish ends. I am not the only one that is afraid. There are 3 little boys who, instead of fearing those who love and adore them, as Kouri would prefer, worry constantly that Kouri might show up one day and take them away. Eric's sons deserve so much better. They are not bargaining chips. They are not cash cows. They are not props for some twisted children's book about grief and loss. And yet that is what they've been reduced to by Kouri. To my unending sadness and horror, Eric himself understood all too well the danger she posed to his children and to his family. When Eric told me he had changed his estate planning and appointed me as his trustee and personal representative, I begged him to end the marriage and go his separate way. By that point, he had already consulted with a divorce attorney and was deeply afraid that he might not be awarded sole custody of his children. He made the heartbreaking decision to stay because he could not accept the risk of what might happen to his sons if Kouri had equal custody. He told me he would live his life through hell every single day of his life until his youngest was 18 because he believed Kouri was the most evil person he had ever met. He knew that his sons did not like her. He told me as much many times. He knew that they would prefer to be far away from her, but he also knew that divorce carried significant risks.
Are you watching her facial expressions, Kouri's facial expressions?
Hold on. Yes, I am, and she is pissing me off.
Like, wow.
Yeah. And her little, what? Are you kidding me? Bitch, I can read your lips. There's a special place for you, baby. Special place. She pissed me off. Dude, I'm ready to jump through this computer. Okay,
My gosh.
I'm good.
Anyway. All right, back to this.
And he said he could never allow his children to spend half of their time alone with her because he was certain they would be exposed to harm and things no child should ever experience. He made it clear that in his mind, if Kouri were given equal custody, his children would be in the care of someone he believed to be deeply dangerous. He feared the people they could be exposed to and the damage that could be done. At the same time, he spoke with deep love and admiration for his boys. He told me that they were the most amazing boys in the world and that none of this was their choice and none of it was their fault, and that he would do everything in his power to protect them for as long as he possibly could. Kouri loves to go on and on about how this case is a media sensation. She's right. News outlets from here to Europe have covered it. There have been countless newspaper articles, podcasts, and TV specials about it. Every hearing is live streamed on numerous YouTube channels. Every filing is scrutinized by internet lawyers and true crime junkies. There is no question that this case is famous and that Kouri is now famous. But what Kouri never mentions in talking about her fame and notoriety are the reasons why this case is now famous. It is famous for how appalling and sickening it is. It is famous because a mother meticulously planned to kill her husband, killed him while their children were sleeping in the next room, and then had the audacity to hold herself out as the author of a children's book about grief and loss. It is famous because she spent time Googling luxury prisons for the rich in America. It is famous because from her jail cell, she scripted a bunch of phony testimony so that her brother could perpetrate a fraud on the court. It is famous because she victimized her own children and threatened to victimize Eric's nieces. The fame and attention are directly proportional to the evil that has gone on here. This is not a situation where the idea of rehabilitation should be entertained. In taking Eric's life for her own selfish gain, Kouri did not only harm Eric, she permanently harmed 3 kids who were under the age of 10. She took away a dad, a son, a brother, an uncle, a grandson, a nephew, a cousin, and a friend. Eric's death has caused immeasurable pain to so many. Obviously, there's nothing the court can do about that. And you cannot bring him back. But what you can do is give Kouri's victims at least some measure of closure. To that end, I ask that the court impose a sentence that ensures Kouri never has the opportunity to harm Eric's children or our family again. Please do not let my brother's life be worth nothing more than a 25-year punishment. Please do not leave those boys to wonder whether Kouri might track them or their children down in the future. Please do not create a possibility for Kouri to endanger Eric's boys, my daughters, my family, or anyone else ever again. Please sentence Kouri to a life in prison without the possibility of parole. Thank you.
Oh. Kouri is pissing me off.
Hello, Your Honor. My name's
Agreed. I think part of it too is she kept so composed during the trial that now that she's been sentenced, she's like, or she's been found guilty, she's like, fuck it, I don't need to keep a straight face.
Right.
Anyway, by the way, X is like going wild about Nan today, so I have a feeling on Friday we will have a lot of shit to talk about.
Sounds like it. I'm cool with it going in on Ann.
Maybe we should invite Kazi, because, you know, Kazi's awesome like that. About
Yeah.
Nan stuff.
Yeah, he is.
All right, back to this.
Yeah, roll tape.
Clint Benson. I'm Katie's husband and Eric's brother-in-law. Eric was an innocent man, a devoted father, and someone whose life revolved around his children and his family. Because of Kouri's choices, he never had the opportunity to say goodbye to his children, to reassure them, to share the final moments every family deserves. That loss cannot be measured. His children will spend the rest of their lives carrying the pain of a father taken from them far too soon. What makes this tragedy even more painful is the calculated nature of the crime. This was not a momentary mistake, a lapse in judgment, or a crime of passion. It involved planning, preparation, testing, and deliberate action. Eric's death was carried out in a way that caused fear, suffering, and helplessness. Kouri either watched or sat by as Eric succumbed to fentanyl poisoning instead of providing any kind of aid to him. She was fantasizing about a dream life funded by Eric's death. Eric was killed in his home by a traitor sleeping next to him in one of the most cowardly acts imaginable. We are profoundly grateful to every investigator, prosecutor, detective, law enforcement officer, juror, judge, forensic expert, and public servant who worked tirelessly and honestly to uncover the truth. Their dedication ensured that Eric's voice was not lost and that justice could still prevail. We are equally grateful for the incredible community surrounding us. This community has shown unwavering support and has been there for Eric's boys without judgment and through some of the most difficult times imaginable. The boys are succeeding and thriving because of the people around them who continue to provide support and look out for their safety. Going through every aspect of this murder easily led to a dark place while fighting against an individual focused on only chaos and vengeance. However, the people surrounding us, including the sheriff's officers, principals, teachers, school staff, coaches, counselors, neighbors, and church members, created an unbreakable force for what is good, just, and right. No sentence can bring Eric back. No outcome will erase the suffering caused by these actions. But accountability matters, truth matters, and justice matters. Kouri continues to shirk responsibility for her actions, for the pain she has caused, and for the resources she has squandered, both Eric's and the state's. Even after everything that has been revealed, Kouri has demonstrated zero genuine accountability or remorse for the devastation she has left behind. Instead, she has repeatedly attempted to distort the truth, create false narratives, and portray herself as the victim. She has used the legal system as part of her schemes. There has been lawsuit after lawsuit, motion after motion, delay after delay, all in an effort to shift blame away from the person responsible. The evidence, the truth, and the outcome of this case all tell a very different story. What is especially concerning is the continued hostility from Kouri and her family, as well as their desire for vengeance directed towards our family, a family already devastated by an unimaginable loss. Statements they have made about going to war and getting the riches demonstrate an ongoing mindset rooted in blame, anger, and retaliation, rather than remorse or acceptance of responsibility. Kouri will continue to try to convince the public that she was a good mother through media outlets that choose not to research or report on the countless motions and facts presented in this case or other cases, but instead simply regurgitate the false narratives of a sick and evil person. Kouri and her family continue to plan media campaigns focused on lies, targeting anyone foolish enough to spend time listening to them. Kouri is not before this court because she was mistreated, because she's a victim, or because the Richardson family manufactured a false narrative as she and the Darden family would like to portray. She is before this court because of the choices she has made, choices that resulted in Eric's death and permanent trauma to anyone who has loved him. Kouri chose pride, seeking to project an image of success. Kouri chose adultery and lust, prioritizing her secret lover over her husband and her children. Kouri chose fraud and greed, hoping to profit from Eric's death. Kouri chose murder, and she continues to choose vengeance against the victims of her actions. The time for Kouri to make choices is at an end. Now it is time for her victims to choose. Please let Eric's children have a chance to choose lifelong peace, comfort, security, success, and happiness. I ask this court to impose a sentence of life without parole, a sentence that truly reflects the gravity of this crime, the irreversible harm caused to our family, and the calculated choices that led to Eric's death. Thanks, sir.
Hey, Gingy, thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you so much, Gingy, for coming. I am muted. No, not. Okay.
Angie, good morning.
Good morning. Honorable Judge Morassic, my name is Amy Richards. I'm Eric Richards' sister. Today, I'm here to speak as a victim and to speak for Eric because he no longer has a voice. I addressed this court in 2023 when we were living in a state of visceral shock. Now, 3 years later, we are here at sentencing on a date that carries a weight I can barely describe. Today's Eric's 44th birthday. Birthdays are supposed to be proof of life, a day to celebrate another year of growth. Instead, today is a cruel reminder of another year Eric will never see, and a reminder of the fatherhood that was stolen from his 3 sons. Before I talk about what this crime has done, I need you to know who Eric was, not as a headline, but as a person. Over the course of this trial, so many people described Eric in strikingly similar ways. They called him outgoing, confident, funny, competitive, dependable, driven, and fiercely loyal. He was a leader, a hard worker, a rancher, a businessman, a coach, a best friend, a brother, a son. But more than anything, people described him as a phenomenal father. Eric had 3 sons and he coached many of their sports teams. He was the kind of dad who showed up not just for his own children, but for everyone around them. Sometimes I think about all the children who lost him too, the kids he coached, mentored, and believed in. I cannot imagine the confusion and heartbreak they felt when someone who had become such a steady and trusted part of their lives was suddenly gone. Eric was a real person, a deeply loved person, and the loss of him echoes through every life he touched. On my 16th birthday, I was sitting in my 10th grade English class when I got a text from Eric that said, "Come outside." I walked out and there was Eric, standing with flowers and that mischievous grin we all knew. I asked what he was doing there, and he just said, "Let's go. We've got to get a little mud on your tires." I had just bought my first truck, a used Ford F-150. Eric took me up into the mountains, and we took that truck off-roading for the first time. It was exhilarating and terrifying, but I felt safe because he was there. That was Eric. He made life bigger. He made people feel brave, and he protected the people he loved. That is the brother I lost, and that is the father his boys lost. In 2023, I told this court that I was tormented by the sequence of events of that night. Today, that torment has not faded. I still wonder when Eric realized he was in mortal danger. I wonder what Kouri said to him in his last moments. I'm still haunted by the question, did his boys hear their father's final struggle? If Eric had died of an illness, we would have cared for him. If it were an accident, there would have been kindness. But there is no comfort here. In his last moments, after being intentionally poisoned, my brother was faced with the ultimate betrayal. Eric's sons were 9, 7, and 5 when their world was shattered. They are now 13, 11, and 9. These are the years when a boy learns how to be a man by watching his father. What makes this crime uniquely heinous is that their grief will never pass. It will reinvent itself at every milestone. This crime didn't just happen once. It happens every single morning when those boys wake up and realize their father is still gone. They did not just lose their father, they lost the life they knew. Eric's death didn't end the harm. It began a grinding process of re-traumatization. Early in this process, I remember being told this case would be a marathon, not a sprint. We did not understand how every hearing, filing, delay, and public narrative would reopen wounds all over again. As if losing Eric was not painful enough, our family was then forced to grieve under public scrutiny. After the publication of the grief book, our family became the subject of public narratives, attacks, and speculation. At one point, I received a message sent from a burner phone that said, "You think you're funny? Kouri will get the last laugh. Your jealousy is as disgusting as your family." Law enforcement later confirmed through warrants that the message came from Kouri. That moment stayed with me because it captured what these years have felt like. Not just grief, but intimidation and distortion. Yes, our family hired a private investigator, but when someone you love dies suddenly and deep in your gut, you believe something is terribly wrong, you do not stop searching for answers. The real question is not why would you investigate? The real question is, what wouldn't you do? What wouldn't you do for your brother, for the truth? I also feel compelled to address the emotional toll of the trial itself. As a designated victim representative, and more importantly as Eric's sister, I have a right to be present in the courtroom. Yet during the proceedings, I was essentially kept in the dark. Due to the courtroom layout, I could not see the exhibits or the evidence. When we requested simple accommodation, we were told that the trial was being broadcast on court TV and I could excuse myself and watch from home with the rest of the world. Being told that my right to be here was interchangeable with a television broadcast was a profound violation. I did not want to watch Eric's life and death as content from my couch. I didn't want to go home after a grueling day and listen and watch it all over again. I had a right to be here, to face the evidence directly. Still, to this day, I have not been able to rewatch the trial because it's so time-consuming and painful to relive. I still have not seen all the evidence that was presented. Your Honor, I need to say this clearly. Someday, those boys will grow up and look back at the records of this trial. I need the truth to be the only thing they find. The claims made against Eric's character were not just legal defenses, they were acts of secondary violence. Eric was a protector, not a predator. These lies were a desperate attempt to justify the unjustifiable, and they have added a layer of cruelty to our grief that is nearly impossible to bear. I also need to correct the record on a few misrepresentations. First, the prenup. It was provided well before the wedding, not in a last-minute way. Second, the incident between Kouri and me. I never touched her. Kouri pled guilty to assaulting me. Yet she and her circle have continued to spread false narratives. This is a pattern of distortion that has kept our family trapped in conflict. There is something that has haunted me for years. And I found out Katie was the exact same today. I begged Eric to leave too. I begged him to divorce her, but Eric was trying to protect his voice. People often struggle to recognize intimate partner violence when the victim is a man. But Eric's actions spoke for themselves. He documented conversations. He tried to protect himself. He knew after Valentine's Day that she had tried to poison him, but he also believed that if he left, he could not fully protect his children. So he stayed because he was trying to keep them safe. This trauma has seeped into every corner of my life. And also, it has also deeply affected my own family and marriage. My husband, William, watched me be consumed by the pursuit of justice. For 4 years, we have lived in a constant state of stress, grief, and emotional exhaustion. I lost my job as a professor at Montana Tech University on the very day I was subpoenaed to appear in this court. Eric was so proud of me earning my PhD, and teaching students was something I loved and that made me proud. It now seems like another thing that Kouri's actions have taken away from me. But the most devastating loss is one that isn't in any police report. Because of the unrelenting stress of this investigation and the constant attacks on our family, I suffered a traumatic miscarriage of twins. We lost our children. We lost the future we were building. Kouri's actions didn't just end one life. They reached out and stifled the lives of my unborn children as well. That loss lives inside this tragedy too. Eric's murder did not just take someone from my life. It plunged me into a darkness. It stole the light I once carried. It erased the future I had planned. Every day, I wake up and step into this same crushing emptiness, where time itself feels frozen and meaningless. The laughter of my future children, the warmth of my family, the simple joy of waking to a new morning, all of it has been devoured by this crime. This grief is limitless, resembling the ocean. Sometimes it softly touches the shore, other times it pounds against it with fierce force. Occasionally, it surges like a massive tsunami, overwhelming everything. These changes can occur suddenly, and like the ocean, it cannot be controlled. I didn't just lose my brother. I lost my sister-in-law. I lost someone I considered my friend. We'd had good times together. That loss is so complicated now, Your Honor, because it forces you to grieve someone who is still alive while facing the horror of what they have done. It is grief that doesn't resolve. It just sits there heavy every day. This crime has fractured our family in ways outsiders cannot understand. One of the most painful realities is that my husband and I do not get to see our nephews. This tragedy has created a wall of trauma between us, and that feels impossible to climb. Because of this crime, we are no longer present in those boys' lives the way Eric would have wanted. In 2023, I told this court I never knew evil like this existed. Everything I have witnessed since has confirmed that. Kouri did not just kill Eric. She attempted to kill the spirit of everyone who loved him. She lied to his children. She lied to the world and has shown no remorse while dancing on his grave for profit. Your Honor, a parole-eligible sentence is not a conclusion. It is a reoccurring nightmare. It guarantees that every few years, Eric's sons will be notified that their father's murderer is seeking freedom. It forces them to relive the trauma repeatedly for decades. Eric died trying to be his children's shield. He can no longer protect them, so now the responsibility falls to this court. I ask you to provide these boys with the finality and safety they deserve. I ask you to ensure that the noise of Kouri Richardson never enters their lives again. For the years of suffering we've endured, for the children who will grow up without their father, and for the life she stole from Eric and the peace she stole from us, I respectfully ask that you sentence Kouri Richardson to life without the possibility of parole. Happy birthday, Rico. Thank you.
Dear God.
Wow.
You can play it, Angie. Angie?
Can you hear me? God damn it.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, can hear you now.
Okay. I need a moment. I'm going to play a song.
Yeah, I'm going to step away for a second. I'll be listening.
Yeah. Monday left a bruise, but you're still in the room. Kiss the sleep goodbye. Pull the daylight through. Phone on silent, shoes on, coffee in a paper cup. You don't need a miracle, just a little push up. Take a breath, count to 3, let the heavy go. One more step, one more street, watch the whole thing grow. Tuesday already, Tuesday already. Look at you go, look at you go. Tuesday already, Tuesday already. Halfway to the glow. Stop, crack sidewalk, sandwich in your hand, small ones in your pocket, better than you planned. Laugh at the bad timing, wave it off and spin. Even on a Tuesday, you can hold it real. Yeah. Take a breath, count to 3, let the heavy go. One more step, one more street, watch the whole thing grow. Worcester, Massachusetts. He drags the dirt out loud.
He asks the hard questions at the edges of the room. When the story starts to wobble, he can smell the hidden truth.
A search was made in secret, a name was said with care. One woman in the crosshairs, one dead man in the air. If the facts keep shifting, then who is standing still? If every face is messed up, who broke the window still?
Who tells the truth? Who tells the truth? Karen says I'm not the one. Who tells the truth? Who tells the truth? When the hands all point at blood. John died in January 2022. The courtroom held its breath while every witness spoke too soon.
Aiden pushed for answers, kept his pen like a blade. When the copy started lying, he made the paper stay.
And if the crowd gets louder, does that make it right?
If they paint the sky with smoke, does that turn wrong to light?
He asked about that search like it meant something more.
A flicker on the record, a crack inside the door. Who tells the truth? Tells the truth. Karen says I'm not the one. Who tells the truth? Tells the truth. When the hands all point at blood.
I've seen the brave get bruised, I've seen the liar grin, I've seen the room choose comfort and call that grace again.
But truth don't need a costume, truth don't need a stage. It shows up in the silence and it won't be caged. Who tells the truth? Tells the truth. Karen says I'm not the one. Who tells the truth? Tells the truth. When the hands all point at blood. Who tells the truth? Tells the truth.
Let the record cut through dust.
Okay. Just a reminder, we don't do this because we want to point or draw attention to the people that have committed these horrendous crimes. We do this for the victims.
Yep.
Like that song that I just played, and I'm sorry I changed it way through, but then I realized that it was not Tuesday anymore, and I couldn't find the Wednesday song.
You're fine.
So, but you know, while everybody was fighting for Karen's freedom, I think John got lost a bit in the shuffle. And now
I
with
agree.
these lawsuits, I think he's finally coming back to the forefront. And I think especially with the lawsuit by the House, well, some of the House defendants against Karen and Aiden, I think that one, if it doesn't get dismissed, if it makes it through that motion to dismiss, I think has the most likely, between that one and the House, the Karen's lawsuit against the House defendants, I think those two have the potential to point the most light on what actually happened that night.
Right. Right.
So,
Can we get back to, I'm on a
Yeah,
time crunch today.
yeah, sorry.
It's okay. But
Just
yeah, I
wanted to
agree.
put that out there.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, Judge.
Take your time.
My name is Jessica Black. I'm a licensed clinical mental health therapist and a registered mental therapist. Myself and my colleagues are here today to read the victim impact statements for 3 children. We are here as advocates on their behalf. After a developmentally appropriate process, the boys were able to decide individually how they wanted to share their statements, and this is what they chose. Our roles are to read their words exactly as they wrote. The boys want the court and the world to hear their side. This is from WR. I woke up to sirens, and there were a lot of people at my house, and I was definitely scared. I felt confused. I was in a bedroom with my brothers, and I didn't know what was happening. At first, I was really scared because I didn't know what was happening, and I had no control, and I felt helpless. I felt really overwhelmed. After my dad died, Kouri would put us in the basement while she was with the neighbor. I felt scared because I thought something really bad was happening again. She would take me to places that smelled really bad. Everything she did made me feel uncomfortable. When someone talks about Kouri, it makes me feel hateful and ashamed. She took away my dad. It's made me have a hard time trusting people. I was scared that Kouri's family would come to my school and take me. I had to go to counseling with DCFS in Heber, and I did not like it. DCFS made me talk to Kouri, and I couldn't do things that I wanted to do. I felt not important to anyone. I feel a lot better about myself now than I did with Kouri. I can't ever see my dad again. I want her to go to prison forever. If she got out, I would be so scared, really mad, and I wouldn't want to go with her anywhere. I'm worried that she would take me away from Katie and Clint. Once she is gone, I will feel happy, and I will feel safer and relaxed, and trust people more.
Thank you. Christina.
Better be listening.
I am Christina Green. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, registered play therapist, and I will be reading for AR. You took away my dad for no reason other than greed, and you only cared about yourself and your stupid boyfriends. You were not caring and watching over me and my brothers. I had to be a parent to W. C and I would walk him to the bus stop, feed him, and watch him. You were not concerned about our health. When we got hurt, you didn't even care. When C got ran over by a side-by-side, you still made him go to the soccer game that day without taking him to the doctors first. You would lock C in his room, and I would have to go to the kitchen and bring him food. You shamed us when we didn't want to eat uncooked lasagna you made. We threw it away because we couldn't eat it. Then you made us watch videos of children starving in war areas. You wanted to scare us into eating something that wasn't cooked. You wouldn't let our dog outside, and then the dog would pee inside. You created this problem, then you would smack my dog on the head as hard as you could. You wouldn't let me put my kitten in the garage for safety at night, and we found it eaten by raccoons the next day. You wouldn't let us turn on and use the heater lamp for the chickens and bunnies, and they froze to death. You would always argue with my dad and lock the door. You were not playing the role as a real mother does. You were doing the opposite. Now my dad can't be my coach anymore, can't be at any of my games. He won't be at my birthdays. He can't teach me how to drive. He won't be at my graduation, and he can't take me camping or fishing. You made me paranoid about sleeping on my dad's side of the bed by saying I might die or get harmed when I was just trying to be close to my dad after you killed him. You took away everything from me and my brothers. I don't want you out of jail because I will not feel safe if you are out. You have never said sorry for anything that you have done to me and my brothers. I don't want you to hurt anyone again. I know that you will need to stay in jail to fully take accountability for what you did to me, C, W, and my dad. With you in jail, I will be able to continue to feel safe and live a happy and successful life without fear of you hurting me or anyone I love. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Sarah.
Yeah, lady, these are the words of your own children.
Social worker and registered play therapist, and I'm going to read the victim impact statement. My name and age now, my name and age I was at the time of the crime. CR, age 12, now 13. I was 9 when my dad was murdered. What I would like to see happen if the perpetrator is convicted of the crime, I would like to see Kouri get a life sentence. My thoughts regarding an appropriate sentence for the person who is accused of this crime and if they are found guilty. I think Kouri should get a life sentence because what she did is very sick, because it had no reason to happen and it impacted a bunch of people, including me. These are some reasons why I think she should have a life sentence. The information I feel is important for the judge to be aware of in sentencing. I think the judge should know that my dad was a good person and very thoughtful and kind and helped whoever needed help. He was always taking the extra mile to help people. My physical injuries as a result of this crime are as follows. I was sleeping and then I went to get a drink of water, then went back to bed. And when I woke up shaking and Bailey called the ambulance and they came and I couldn't talk for a while, I think Kouri had something to do with it because she didn't call the ambulance. She called Bailey and Bailey called the ambulance. At the ER, Kouri resisted to have my blood drawn. And kids who usually have this kind of seizure is when they are a few months old to a year old. I learned later that Kouri bought more fentanyl and had it in the house when this happened. I think this is what happened. She did what she did to my dad in the living room. My experienced emotional injury because of this crime is described as follows. Sad. I feel mad that I have to feel sad. I went from being scared for my life to feeling really good. I was scared for my life because I didn't eat that much. Kouri was always drunk or gone. I was always locked in my room. I can't remember, but I am pretty sure the lock was on the outside. Kouri threatened she would kill my lizard because we didn't want to watch some weird show with her. All of our chickens died because there was no food or water. My rabbit died because we didn't have food or water. The goats almost starved to death because she bought moldy hay and she didn't water them. Nothing ever got fed or watered. It didn't feel good to worry about my animals. I felt like I had to take care of my siblings. Ash mostly took care of me though because I was locked in my room. Ash would bring me food. Kouri would lock me up if I told her she was drunk. This happened pretty much daily. I feel angry that she locked me in my room. I am angry almost all my animals died. I am angry she threatened to kill them. I am angry she killed my dad. I started to feel really good when I moved into a safe place. It was safe because the people around me were safe, Katie and Clint. I felt safe at Jake and Shalina because I wasn't with Kouri anymore. Counseling. I feel annoyed that I have to go to counseling and tell the story about what happened 55 million times. I feel better now because I know it's to help me. I would like to not have to go to counseling. I would like to have to not worry about anything after this trial is over. I want the judge to know. I hope Kouri gets convicted to a life sentence. Kouri is always drunk. I want the judge to know my dad was a good person and I miss my dad. I miss my dad, but I do not miss how my life used to be. I don't miss Kouri. I will tell you that.
Thank you. Mr. Bloodworth, anything further from the state?
Your Honor, the state moves to admit state sentencing exhibits A through I previously provided to the court and defense. I have copies now I can bring to the court.
Any objection, Ms. Desser?
Yes, we do object to some of those being on the public docket, and we can, if we want to take a break, we can go through that with the prosecution. I actually sent him an email asking if they would be filed publicly. His response was no. So I was unaware that he was going to do that.
Admitting that and filing them publicly are two different things. Any objection to their admission?
Not to their admission, only to their public filing. Your Honor.
Okay, we can work that out. States A through I are admitted. I need a break. We'll be in recess until 11:10. If during that break you and Ms. Nestor would come to some consensus about what the defense wants to have listed as private and or protected depending on content.
Your Honor, the state agrees all should be
Okay,
private.
understood. That's the order of the court. We'll be in recess until 11:10. Follow the directions of the court security director and the bailiffs in terms of how to leave and re-enter the courtroom. Thank you.
As Melanie would say, we have some room to scooch, and they're not even back yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the
so-
way she was, the looks she was given,
Right. I agree.
I was like, I, especially during her own children's statements, you know?
Right.
And then to find out she was that horrible of a mother. I mean, I figured she was a bad mom.
Thank you.
Oh, where's that?
We're back on the record in 231-500-139. Mr. Bloodworth, just to confirm, anything further from the state? No. Okay. Ms. Lewis, Ms. Nestor, please tell me what's contemplated.
Your Honor, I have some opening remarks. Then we have some letters that some of which we've been asked to read. Others are here to read themselves. Due to the excessive publicity, several of the people have asked that only you and the prosecutor know their names, but then we not say their names. And so I'm going to provide you with each letter as we go that has their actual names on it. All of them are willing to confirm with you privately that they've written these letters as officers of the court. We assure you they have, but they did not want to appear on camera.
That's fine.
And then after we do a set of the letters, Mr. Ramos has some very brief remarks, and then we're going to put on 3 more. Then Ms. Lewis will close out remarks, and then Ms. Richardson will do her allocution at the very end.
Understood.
If that's sufficient.
Please.
Thank you. May it please the court. Excuse me. We began this journey when Kouri Richardson stood before this court, stood before your honor, and entered a plea of not guilty. And now, after being convicted by a jury, she stands before you again. And on this day, she will tell you again that she did not do what she has been convicted of doing. And that is her right under the law. And we, her advocates, we are tasked with a sacred duty, a duty to protect and preserve her constitutional rights at all costs. In the face of criticism, scorn, and ridicule from the public, the media, and anybody else connected with this case, we have been committed to our duty throughout this trial, and we remain so today. It is our privilege and honor to stand beside Kouri. We believe in her innocence completely. And we will continue to stand by her as she takes her appeal to the next level, to a higher court. But that battle remains for another day. Today, she stands before you, convicted by a jury of 5 felony counts. We recognize and honor that this court is also tasked with a sacred duty, a duty under the Constitution and laws of our state to decide the appropriate sentence in light of Ms. Richardson's convictions. The enormity of that responsibility cannot be denied. Everything we will present to your honor today is submitted for your consideration with an abiding faith in the court's commitment to its sacred duty, and in the prayerful hope that mercy will prevail over calls for retribution. As the state has conceded in their briefing, in order to decide an appropriate sentence, it is right and just for this court to look not only at the conduct for which Kouri Richardson has been convicted, but also at her entire life. The good things she has done, making her worthy of the mercy of this court. Things such as the personal traits and characteristics that suggest she is not the monster that the prosecution portrays, but a human being, a mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend, a person that has made mistakes, but a person who has loved deeply, a person who's completed acts of kindness and love and care toward others, a person who's contributed to her community, a person who, even in the darkest time of her life, reached out to help others who were incarcerated alongside her, a person who unselfishly tried to ease the pain her family and friends experienced as a result of this case. Now, we have asked people who know Kouri the best to show you the person they know and love. You will hear from family and friends who saw her the most. You will hear from people who worked with her. You will hear from people who spent time with her since she's been incarcerated and have seen how committed she is to rehabilitation while she's in jail. Even more telling, you will hear how she's helped others even when facing unbearable situations in her own life. All of these individuals will reassure this court that she can be productive and make positive contributions in a carceral setting. You've heard from the state their cry for the harshest punishments available under our laws. Yet you also presided over this trial. You saw the evidence and the absence of facts that would justify such penalties. I am sure this court is aware of what a sentence of life without parole actually means in a prison setting. These individuals are locked down in their cells 23 hours a day. They are not provided with the opportunity to participate in programming, seek education, work at jobs in the prison. For all intents and purposes, they are treated as death row inmates. They are denied in-person visitation. They are stripped of any sense of community or humanity. They have no hope of any future reunification with the people they love. Out of the thousands and thousands of cases that go through our criminal justice system, less than 100 individuals have been determined to be worthy of a sentence of life without parole. And that is because judges throughout this state understand that such a sentence presumes that an individual is wholly incapable of redemption or rehabilitation and should be punished in the worst way imaginable until they die alone in a cage. And Ms. Lewis will talk more about that later. But in the meantime, you're also going to hear from 3 people who've never met Kouri Richardson. They know nothing about her case, but they know about what life without parole means. You are going to hear from a mother whose son was murdered and how many years ago she was in the position that the Richardson's family is in now. You will hear about her journey to forgiveness and how after many years she came to regret seeking the penalty of life without parole for her son's killer. You will hear from a woman who understands how Kouri's boys feel. Her father killed her mother and was sentenced to prison. You will hear how she learned to forgive her father and how she's enriched her life through finding her way into a relationship with him again. And you will hear from a former prosecutor, someone who sat right where Mr. Bloodworth sits now, and how he personally witnessed the rehabilitation and tragic end of an individual he put behind bars for life. All of these perspectives are important because they remind us and the court that the recognition of the precious gift of life takes many forms and can change over time. They remind us that the decisions made by this court today can reflect our own humanity and inspire us all to have hope and believe in forgiveness. Finally, Your Honor, you're going to hear from Ms. Richards herself. Her allocution is unusually long. She has worked very hard on it. We ask the court to allow her to take about 30 minutes or so to read her words aloud. She is going to share with you what matters most to her in this world, her love for her boys. It is all she has left. Everything else she has ever held dear in her life has been stripped from her. It is her hope that in openly and honestly sharing her love and hopes and dreams for her boys with you, that you will see what it is inside of her that is worth saving, that is worthy of mercy, and that is filled with hope, humanity, and love. So with the court's indulgence, we'd like to read aloud some letters that have been provided to us. As I discussed, some is at.
Have you noticed how her face has changed?
Yeah. Like
This-
a
I
makeup?
hate to say it because
No, she's gained some weight.
well, that too. But this reminds me of Lori, except Lori didn't have this puppy dog face look on her face.
Yeah.
This reminds me of Chad, except he didn't have this puppy dog look on his face.
Yeah. What I don't understand is
Hey, James.
what bringing all these people who have never met Kouri. See, it's got my brain. It's got my brain. These are impact statements. Hey, James, thank you for coming. Yeah, that's Kouri Richardson. Richards, whatever her name is.
Richards, yeah.
Yeah, Kouri Richards. Yes. Yeah, that's her. And they're bringing in all these experts. They've never met her. Somebody who did the same thing as her. I don't get it. Let's just roll tape. I don't get it. I mean,
I got you.
Have asked us to read it and only share the names with you in the prosecution. Some are here to read them themselves. And we are grateful to the court's indulgence to listen. And we're going to start with a letter from Kouri's mother, and Ms. Lewis is going to read that letter. And I have a copy of it that I'm going to provide so the court can read along if you like. And I also have copies for the prosecution as we go.
And we will add this to the information as part of the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Not public.
Understood.
Yes.
okay. Pause it real quick. I've only got a few more minutes left. Before I have to go, but I can leave it running on my end. If you want. I think you're muted, hun.
That's up to you.
Yeah.
If anything, you get the watch hours from it.
Right. And I'll keep watching it on my phone as well. It's just, I gotta get these errands run today before my husband has to get back to work. So, all right. Yeah, I got a few minutes before he gets here. He's been running around doing everything he can
He's
without
the
me.
murder mittens. Okay.
Mhm.
Gotta do our daily. Hang on.
Yeah, it got postponed due to a family emergency with one of his attorneys.
Stop biting me, child. Look, making a day. You're making an appearance. Look.
Aww.
She's like, let me go, Mama. Let me go.
She's like, I don't want to make
Mama."
appearance.
She just doesn't
I don't
wanna
want
be
appearance.
out.
I want to go. I want down.
Come here. There's the
Aw, hey,
He's a bit
Gizzy.
calmer.
Aww.
They got to experience ice cream for the first time yesterday. It was hilarious.
Aw, I bet it was.
I don't know where Turtle is at the moment, but
Yeah, they're getting so big.
they
All right,
are.
I'll keep watching until I'll let you know when he gets here.
Okay.
Good morning, Your Honor. Kouri's mother, Lisa Dark, is here in the courtroom. She's actually.
Well, hopefully you're able to
I
go when
forgive the
it
privilege to
when
read
it's
her words.
rescheduled.
She was concerned about her ability to read them herself. Your Honor, Kouri is my daughter. I write to you today carrying grief that words struggle to hold. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge the loss of Eric. He was my son-in-law, my friend, and a truly wonderful father. Eric had a kind heart and a generous spirit. He was deeply loved, and he will never be forgotten by me or by the many people whose lives he touched. Eric once saved my life, and I have carried that gratitude with me every day since. His legacy lives on most clearly through the 3 beautiful boys he left behind. Your Honor, I speak today as a mother and as a grandmother. The children are my greatest concerns. These 3 boys have endured unimaginable loss and upheaval in their young lives. They lost their father, then their mother, then the sense of safety and continuity every child deserves. Their world has changed again and again through no choice of their own. Whatever sentence is imposed will shape their lives forever. Whatever sentence is imposed, that was their choice. I will continue to watch the boys grow, whether at school events, or sporting activities, and throughout their lives. I will keep them in my prayers, hoping they grow into emotionally stable and resilient young men. Kouri is more than the worst day of her life. She is a mother who has devoted herself to her children since the day they were born. Before all of this, she was deeply involved in their schooling, their sports, their faith, and their community. She coached teams,
volunteered weekly at school, led youth programs, and taught her boys compassion through service, from food banks to flood relief to helping firefighters and families in need. Her life centered on her family and on helping others. In many ways, everyone impacted by this case has suffered loss. However, the greatest burden has fallen on 3 innocent children. These boys have experienced repeated disruption and trauma at an age when stability is essential. Before these events, they lived in a loving home with 2 devoted parents. They were surrounded by family, supported emotionally and financially, and deeply connected to both their mother and father. Their lives revolved around school, sports, family traditions, and feeling safe and loved. That sense of security was taken from them in stages. First, they lost their father suddenly and without preparation. They were informed by officials rather than being guided gently by a parent, a moment that forever changed their childhood. Their mother then spent more than a year helping them navigate grief, modeling compassion and emotional resilience, and working closely with them to understand loss in age-appropriate ways. She even found creative ways to help them cope emotionally during this painful period. Then, they lost daily access to their mother. Once again, they were told life-altering news by strangers rather than family. The boys were moved between placements, disrupting routines and emotional progress, despite beginning to feel settled and supported. Throughout this time, they maintained a meaningful and positive relationship with their mother through letters, phone calls, visits, and counseling. Later, they were moved again, against their expressed wishes, away from family caregivers and trusted relationships. Each transition compounded their confusion, anxiety, and grief. Children need continuity to heal, yet these boys have experienced repeated separations from the people they rely on most. As a grandmother who helped raise these children, I have also lost daily contact with them. They were a central part of my life, just as I was part of theirs. The separation from their maternal family has been devastating, not only to me, but to the boys themselves, who deserve access to all safe and loving family connections. Your Honor, these children have already endured more than most adults will in a lifetime. Being placed in the middle of adult proceedings and repeatedly confronted with painful realities risks further emotional harm. They love their mother. They need reassurance, not fear, healing, not more loss. I ask the court to carefully consider the cumulative impact on these children and the importance of preserving their emotional well-being and future stability when determining your appropriate sentence. Your Honor, I ask the court to take a moment to consider Kouri Richardson as a whole person.
Hey, Angie.
Beyond headlines or assumptions, and to understand.
Yeah, I gotta
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
All right. Everyone, I love you guys. If you're still going when I get back, I'll just pop back on.
Okay.
But I love you guys. I'm gonna drop myself back down to backstage. Everyone go out with love and peace in your heart. Be beautiful butterflies today. I love y'all.
Bye.
And the life she built before this case. Kouri has been driven, disciplined, and committed to growth from a young age. She graduated from high school in 2007, completing her studies a year early. She continued her education and earned her associate's degree in 2010. In 2012, she obtained her bachelor's degree. The same year, she became a mother for the first time. In 2013, Kouri married Eric, and together they began building a family. Their second son was born in 2014. Kouri continued pursuing education while raising her children, earning her master's degree in 2017, followed by the birth of their third son shortly thereafter. Professionally, Kouri has consistently worked to better herself and provide for her family. She obtained her real estate license in 2019 and later earned her general contractor's license in 2021, achievements that reflected her work ethic, independence, and determination. In 2022, Kouri experienced a devastating loss with the sudden death of her husband. Despite profound grief, she sought constructive ways to cope and help others, publishing a children's book in 2023 focused on helping children process loss. After her arrest in 2023, Kouri did not retreat from self-improvement. While incarcerated, she earned her paralegal certificate in 2025. In 2026, she completed her MBA, pursuing education under extraordinarily difficult circumstances. She continues to seek opportunities for further education, demonstrating perseverance and a commitment to growth. Your Honor, this timeline reflects a pattern of responsibility, resilience, and continued effort to better herself even in the most challenging moments of her life. I would like to illustrate Kouri's character through her actions and the way she lived her life, particularly as a wife, mother, and member of her community. Kouri was deeply devoted to her family. She was a committed wife to Eric and a hands-on present mother to their 3 sons. Their marriage was built on partnership and mutual support. Kouri consistently supported Eric in his career, hobbies, and interests, including his involvement in sports and coaching. She encouraged his passions and stood by him throughout their life together. In return, Eric expressed his commitment to caring for his wife and children, and their shared priorities were apparent in the way they lived and parented. As parents, Kouri and Eric focused on raising kind, engaged, and active children. Kouri was closely involved in her son's education, sports, and activities. She volunteered weekly at their school, coached youth soccer and basketball, served as a scout leader, and was present at practices, games, and events. Her time, energy, and focus were always directed toward her children's well-being and development. Beyond her immediate family, Kouri consistently showed compassion for others. She was active in community service and believed strongly in teaching her children empathy through example. Together, they volunteered at food banks, participated in flood relief by filling sandbags for elderly residents, baked cookies for firefighters during fire season, and assembled care packages for families and individuals in need. She also helped ensure that children in the community had proper winter clothes by donating nearly 100 pairs of snow boots to a local elementary school. During the holidays, Kouri made extraordinary efforts to help others, purchasing, wrapping, and delivering hundreds of gifts to families who were struggling. She also demonstrated thoughtfulness in her extended work family by assembling personalized gift boxes and organizing holiday gatherings to bring people together. In 2023, following her husband's death, Kouri published a children's book designed to help grieving children process loss. She donated hundreds of copies to children who had lost a parent and visited schools to read to students dealing with grief. Although the book achieved some commercial success, her intention was not profit. It was to help children feel less alone during one of the most difficult experiences a child can face. Kouri has always viewed her greatest accomplishment as her family, her husband, her children, and the home they built together. Her loyalty to her family is unwavering. As an aunt, she has been a consistent and loving presence in her nieces' and nephews' lives, providing childcare support, attending milestones and school events, and assisting her siblings whenever they needed her. She has been the person who organizes family gatherings, holidays, and shared tradition, keeping the family connected. Faith has also played an important role in Kouri's life. She and her children regularly attended church and participated in faith-based community activities, reinforcing values of service, compassion, and responsibility. Your Honor, these are not isolated gestures. They reflect a long-standing pattern of generosity, responsibility, and care for others. Kouri's life before this case was defined by service to her family and community, and by her commitment to raising her children to be compassionate and engaged members of society. From a young age, Kouri demonstrated responsibility and a strong work ethic. While still in high school, she worked nights, weekends, and holidays to help support her aunt's business, using her earnings to pay her own way through college. That sense of responsibility never diminished. She continued to support extended family members whenever they needed help. Only 3 weeks after losing her husband, Kouri faced another profound loss with the death of her uncle. Even while grieving deeply herself, she stepped forward to help her aunt by taking on the responsibility of planning the funeral. This pattern, putting others' needs ahead of her own pain, has been consistent throughout her life. Kouri has always believed that no one should have to navigate grief or hardship alone. Kouri and I share an exceptionally close relationship as mother and daughter. She has stood beside me during some of the most difficult moments of my life, including surgeries and radiation treatments, providing care, support, and comfort without hesitation. Our relationship is built on mutual reliance, trust, and love. I, in turn, have played an active role in her family's life, helping care for Eric, the boys, and Kouri, and being deeply involved in their daily lives. Kouri also shares a strong bond with her brother. Though close in age, and like many siblings growing up, it was the loss of their father shortly after high school that solidified their understanding of the importance of family. Since then, the relationship has only grown stronger. They have supported each other through life's milestones, challenges, and joys. As a mother, Kouri has always made sure her children felt surrounded by family. She intentionally included her brother in holidays, family gatherings, and everyday moments, reinforcing the value of connection and belonging. She welcomed her brother's wife into the family from the very beginning, making a deliberate effort to ensure she felt included and supported. She has constantly offered help with family milestones, celebrations, and responsibilities, always striving to ease stress for others. Kouri takes pride in maintaining a close-knit family. She believes that shared time, whether during holidays, sporting events, small gatherings, or simply simple evenings together, is essential. Creating those moments of connection has always mattered deeply to her, and she has worked intentionally to keep her family united. Kouri played an important and deeply integrated role within the Richardson family, particularly during times of hardship. When Eric's mother passed away in Hawaii, Kouri provided steady emotional support to the entire family and assisted in organizing funeral arrangements, stepping in wherever help was needed during a very painful period. Her commitment to Eric's family was genuine and enduring. At one point, Eric's mother expressed that Kouri was not simply her daughter-in-law, but her daughter, a reflection of the closeness and trust Kouri had earned within the family. Kouri and Eric prioritized time with extended family, creating meaningful memories together, including regular visits to St. George, Utah, to spend time with Eric's grandmother. When one of Eric's sisters faced unemployment, Kouri helped her secure work at the hospital where she herself was employed. She also routinely provided childcare for her sister-in-law's children, allowing them time together as a couple. Her involvement went beyond logistical help. She always participated in family milestones, including serving in a bridal party and assisting with wedding planning for another of Eric's sisters. During a particularly difficult period in that sister's life, Kouri accompanied her to a self-help retreat, offering both emotional support and companionship. Within the Richardson family, Kouri often served as a source of calm and connection. She consistently worked to ease tensions, provide comfort, and maintain relationships during challenging moments. Her efforts contribute significantly to the overall well-being of the family. Kouri's compassion extended well beyond her immediate and extended family. She opened her home to the parents of a friend whose house had been damaged, offering them a safe place during a difficult time. When another friend's parents lacked firewood, their sole source of heat during the winter, Kouri arranged for a truckload of wood to ensure they stayed warm. She maintained close, supportive friendships, particularly participated fully in friends' major life events, and was actively involved in the lives of their children. As a neighbor, Kouri was equally attentive and caring. Her home was offering a gathering place for neighborhood children, and she routinely prepared meals for parents working late or offered help to neighbors facing illness, including one undergoing chemotherapy. Her generosity was never performative. It was quiet, consistent, and motivated by genuine concern for others. Kouri is not a perfect person, but she is an authentic one. Her life has been marked by steady acts of kindness, loyalty, and service toward her family, her friends, and her community. She has always found purpose in easing the burden of others and helping people through difficult moments. Following Kouri's separation from her children, they were placed in a living situation that differed from what they expressed as their preference, despite having strong and meaningful bonds with extended family who had long played an active role in helping raise them. As young children, they had little control over these decisions, which added to their sense of uncertainty and loss. Kouri's sons are now facing significant emotional challenges in their day-to-day lives. They are processing grief, separation, and repeated changes, all at an age when stability is critical. Like their mother, Kouri's eldest son is especially sensitive and expressive, and he has struggled deeply with these transitions. All three boys are currently receiving counseling, which has been essential in helping them cope. Kouri has consistently supported therapeutic intervention and has emphasized the importance of counseling, not only for each child individually, but for the family as a whole. In particular, she has advocated for additional individual support for her eldest child, recognizing his specific emotional needs. The circumstances surrounding their separation and the rules governing communications have made it difficult for Kouri and her children to openly share their feelings with one another. This limitation has taken an emotional toll on both the boys and their mother. Important thoughts, reassurances, and emotions often remain unspoken, creating additional stress and sadness. As a mother, Kouri experiences deep anguish over her inability to comfort her children as she once did. She worries constantly about their emotional well-being and struggles with the pain of knowing they are hurting while being unable to fully support them. Her concern for her sons remains constant and unwavering. Kouri has endured profound emotional and personal suffering since the loss of her husband. She is grieving the absence of the man she loved and built a life with, while navigating separation from her children and family under intense public scrutiny. The weight of these losses is immense, and it has affected not only Kouri, but her entire family, her mother, her children, and those who love her. Despite being incarcerated, Kouri has continued to demonstrate resilience and personal responsibility. Within the confines of jail, she has dedicated herself to education and self-improvement, using her time to study and work toward meaningful goals. These efforts reflect her character and her desire to grow, contribute, and remain a constructive presence, even under extremely difficult circumstances. Like many marriages, Kouri and Eric faced challenges. When difficulties arose, they chose to address them responsibly by seeking marriage counseling rather than turning away from one another. Those efforts strengthened their relationship. By all accounts from those closest to them, they were in a period of renewed connection and commitment, focused on their family and their future together. Your Honor, I stand before you as Kouri's mother. I love my daughter. I have known her for her entire life, not just through this case. I cannot speak to every aspect of what the court has considered, but I can speak to who she is as a human being, as a mother, and as a member of her family. I do not believe that Kouri did this, nor do I believe Kouri could possibly be capable of this crime. I can't validate what she did financially one way or another, and that's something Kouri will have to live with. I respectfully ask the court to consider a sentence that holds Kouri accountable for the jury's verdict while still allowing for the possibility of mercy and hope. A sentence without the opportunity for parole would permanently separate her from her children and leave no room for redemption. Kouri's life has meaning, especially to her 3 sons and her family, and I respectfully ask that the sentence reflect not only accountability, but also the potential for rehabilitation and the profound long-term impact on innocent children. Your Honor, I ask from a mother's heart that Kouri be given a sentence that allows the possibility of a future, one in which she can continue to grow and one day be a positive presence in life and her children's lives again. I firmly believe the jury reached an incorrect conclusion and that this outcome represents a profound injustice driven by personal bias. I do not believe Kouri is capable of committing murder. No one understands her loves her children as deeply as their mother does. Thank you for listening, Your Honor. I love you, Kouri, Carter, Ashton, and Weston. Her story does not end with this sentence. It is the strength of her comeback that will define it.
Thank you, Ms. Lee.
Your Honor, at this time, we would ask Renee Odom. She is going to read her own letter. We ask that she approach the podium, and I will provide it to the court and the prosecution as well.
Of course. Renee, good morning.
Good morning.
One moment, please. Thank you. Renee, please proceed.
My name is Renee Odom, and I am here today as the sister of Kouri Richards. I want to begin by saying nothing I share today is meant to excuse or lessen the seriousness of what has brought us here. Eric's life was taken, and that loss is permanent. I want to acknowledge Eric by name and say that I loved him. He was kind to me. He was a part of my life, a part of my children's life, and a part of my family. He matters deeply, and he is missed. This tragedy has devastated our family, and its deepest impact continues to fall on Kouri's 3 boys. For more than 3 years now, they have been unable to see or speak with their mother. They have lost their father, and at the same time, they have lost access to their mom. Even in separation, Kouri has never stopped being their mother. She writes to her boys every single week. She reaches out every birthday, every holiday, holding on to that connection with everything she has and reminding them that they are loved. Kouri is my baby sister, and she has been an integral part of my life and the lives of my children. She has shown up for our family in ways that are impossible to count. I was there at her graduation from high school. I was there for the wedding of Kouri and Eric, moments filled with love, hope, and dreams for the future. She was there for my wedding and the birth of my son. She was there for me when I graduated college. She stood beside me at the baptism of both of my daughters. She poured her heart into giving my oldest daughter a beautiful sweet 16. These were not obligations to her. This is who she is. Kouri has always been the glue that held our family together. She hosts every Christmas. She planned every family vacation and made sure that no one ever felt forgotten or left behind. She believes deeply in helping others, and she has lived with this belief throughout her life. Even from behind bars, Kouri has continued to help people, offering support and encouragement and kindness any way she can. That desire to be of service has never left her. Kouri is a great sister, an awesome aunt, an amazing daughter, and she will always be a devoted mother. She is also the smartest person I know. Kouri has earned 2 master's degrees and is applying to a PhD program. Growth and learning and becoming better for herself and others have always mattered to her. Most of all, she loved her husband and her children with everything that she was. I continue to struggle to reconcile this tragedy with the loving sister and the mother I've always known. I understand and respect the court's responsibility to impose a just and lawful sentence. I am not here to challenge the verdict or to minimize the harm that has occurred. I only ask that the court see the full human picture, the pain, the accountability, the lifelong consequences that are already being carried. Please leave room for hope of a life with her boys. The impact of this tragedy will remain with Kouri and her children for the rest of their lives. Our family deeply feels the absence of her presence and that of her boys, her guidance and her love. I love you, Kouri, and I will always stand by you. Thank you, Your Honor, for letting me speak and considering my words.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm going to read a letter from Bree Darden. No. Your Honor, at this time, we'd like to read a brief letter from Bree Darden. That is Kouri's sister-in-law, who also worked with her at her real estate business. I know Your Honor heard some testimony about that. She has a newborn baby, so she can't be here. Your Honor, I was introduced to the Richardson family around 8 years ago, excuse me, and was able to have been around Kouri, Eric, and the boys since the youngest was 1. I spent many days, weekends, holidays, birthdays, barbecues, etc. with them all, and was able to learn so much about the family dynamic and the love they had for one another. No, their family wasn't perfect. No one's is. But those boys were loved beyond belief by both parents. Kouri and Eric did everything for the boys, to protect them, to teach them, to encourage them, to show them love, and mostly to show them 2 loving parents. My heart goes out to the 3 boys, as they do not deserve to be going through all this, as well as they do not deserve to be alienated from one side of their family. I miss them dearly every day. To know Kouri is to know the love she has in her heart. Kouri is one of the most selfless and caring people I know. She lived for those boys and lived to be the best wife she could be. Yes, she made mistakes in her marriage, as we know. So did Eric. But at the end of the day, they chose each other and their family. As a loving mother, exceptional caretaker, and benevolent humanitarian, Kouri was truly a devoted volunteer. She never stood still when she knew she could help another, embodying the definition.
I don't mean to stop it like mid-statement, but after this one is done, I have to get going because I have a appointment to go to. So, and I want to get in a nap before then. But I will drop the link to the East Idaho news feed. So if you want to go and watch it there, you can. Also, Melanie is covering it. Hello, Greg. EDB, like Emily D. Baker is covering it. A bunch of people are covering it right now. So you can definitely go watch it elsewhere. But babies. These kittens have the zoomies today. Oh my gosh. But anyway, so yeah, so once this statement is done, I'm going to end it for the day. And tomorrow, since Aiden's hearing was postponed and will be moved to a different day, we will go back to watching testimony in Lori's second Arizona trial. So let's finish this statement and then we will say goodbye.
Of true character. From the moment this sudden, unexplainable tragedy occurred, there has been a distaste for Kouri for personal reasons rather than factual reasons. From allegations made by individuals she regarded as family, to authorities not conducting a systemically correct investigation and then not being given a suitable, unbiased finale. The conclusion of this case seemed inevitable. Although I'm not here to argue the verdict, I am here to help provide perspective on views you are unable to hear about. Kouri is a mother, a sister, a daughter, an aunt, widow, and at the end of the day, an imperfect person striving for grace. She is someone whom the community trusted, neighbors enjoyed, and her boys counted on as a supporter. I respectfully ask that the court consider the totality of her character and her full life history when making a determination. Your Honor, the next individual that spoke is Kouri's aunt. This is Lisa's sister. Her name is Doreen Kouri.
Okay,
Your
I
Honor,
will
thank
stop
you for
it right
allowing me to
there.
speak today.
Again, I want to thank everybody for coming. Stop! I am not a climbing gym. I am not a jungle gym child. Sorry, Gizmo was trying to climb up my back. So I want to say thank you to everybody that came and hung out with us today. We did have a change of plans and, you know, stuff happens, so that's okay. Like I said, tomorrow we will go back to testimony. We have 2 more witnesses to finish, one being the lead detective on Brandon's case, and we also have the testimony of Nick Vallows from the FBI. He did all the like celebrate stuff, you know. Ooh, that actually cut me open. Yay. Gotta love it. Anyway, so don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Maybe boy, stop. You follow me on X at NGM1984YT. Follow Malin at TCWMalin on X. Here is the East Idaho News feed link. If you want to go there, again, Melanie's covering it, EDB's covering it, a bunch of people are covering it. Peace. Thank you. Donations are never required, but always appreciated. I am kind of sort of fundraising for a new computer, new laptop. So there's that. Anyway, again, thank you for coming, and we will see you tomorrow. And well, we'll see you later in the chats tonight. Have a great day, everybody. Love you guys. Bye.